Thanks for downloading another segment from the Best of the Classic Metal Show. The Classic Metal Show is heard live on Saturdays from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern, exclusively at www.theclassicmetalshow.com. And now here's another piece of Classic Metal Show history on the Best of the Classic Metal Show.
The Classic Metal Show.
Right back here on the Classic Metal Show. That's a band some of you out here may not know, but maybe some of you do. It's a band called Icarus Witch with a song called The Sky is Falling. And on the phone right now, we've got one of the members of Icarus Witch, the one and only Jason Myers. Jason, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Chris. How are you doing tonight?
I am just peachy, sir. Well, dude, obviously, man, Icarus Witch, you guys have been around for a little while. Starting to get your name out, you know, past the East Coast side of things. But for our fans that are not on the East Coast, why don't you maybe start off by giving the fans a little history of the band and tell people what you're all about?
Well, Icarus Witch began roughly in 2003, put out our first demo in 2005, and pretty much the whole point of putting this band together was to get back to the classic metal, just to play the kind of music that we missed hearing from our heroes that we grew up with, and just sort of wanted to put out some kind of music that we would actually want to hear. It seemed like everything had kind of gone downhill, and we wanted to remedy that rather than just complain about it. So we that's what we did. We figured, well, let's create the kind of band that we would want to hear. You know, pretty simple when you come to think about it, but didn't realize it was going to be such an uphill battle, you know, in terms of marketability, if you will. You know, trying to play classic metal in today's shrinking rock environment is definitely not a cause for the weak, but we're having fun with it, and I think we're discovering people that feel the same way as we do. So it's been a lot of work, but definitely worth it, I think, so far.
Right. Well, the interesting thing with what you guys do, too, Jason, is the fact that this kind of music, I personally, and this is just an outside assumption, and I don't know from anybody, but I assume that this music's as popular as ever. It's just really gone back underground, man. It's kind of let the trendy stuff jump out in front of it, but it's still as relevant today. I mean, you guys play a lot of shows with a lot of, 20, 25-year touring bands, and I'm assuming the rooms are usually pretty full, correct?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, I guess the key there is that it is still popular, and it's sort of experiencing somewhat of a resurgence. However, most of the bands that are enjoying that success are the ones that were established and are coming back, and so they've obviously got a little bit of an advantage on us in terms of, you know, having 20 years worth of albums or more. So for us, it's we seem to be going over pretty well with those older classic bands, and that's been a formula that's worked pretty well for us. You know, getting on opening slots, and hopefully some more touring and stuff that'll take us out into the Midwest, into the West Coast, and we've played in Europe, and over there it seems to be a little bit different story. When we played in Germany a couple years ago at the Headbangers Open Air Festival, and we got a great reception there because it seems like in Germany that kind of old-fashioned metal or classic metal just it never really went away, or at least not as much as it did in some other places.
Right. And so. Now one of the things I do know, Jason, I know a couple of other bands in the Cleveland area that are similar in size to what Icarus Witch is, you know, bands like Breaker or Destructor and whatnot. And those bands, they've said the same exact thing, that when they go over to Europe, you know, they're rock stars, and then they come back here and it's like, you know, pulling teeth to get 50 people to come out to a show. What do you think the difference is between the European audience and what goes on here in the States?
I can't really put my finger on it. I think that part of it is just the festival mentality is really big over there. You know, Europe is so, I don't know, kind of condensed. So they have these great open air festivals all over the place throughout the spring, summer, and now into the fall, where you'll get just the most amazing lineups, and people will come from all these neighboring countries, and it's just a real sense of community. People come, show up with their flags, whatever country they're representing, and just camp out for the weekend and, wear their denim vests with all their favorite bands on it. And it's just a real sense of camaraderie. I think here in America, that hasn't really caught on as much. There's a few festivals here and there, but for the most part, the country's so big here that people are used to the traveling tours, the festivals like Ozfest and things coming to them, and it's just not quite the same. So that's one thing I think that's really helped the scene over there.
Right. Now, Icarus Witch has 2 releases that are out there right now. Capture the Magic, which came out in 2005, and now the newest record, Songs for the Lost. From listening to from the first record to this one, it really seems like the one thing that you guys did, different. I don't want to say better, but differently, or where you had the most growth, seems to be in the way you recorded everything. It seemed like on Capture the Magic, it was well recorded, but on Songs for the Lost, it seems like you guys really orchestrated a lot better. Songs like the one we just played, "The Sky Is Falling," with the kind of acoustic build up into a full blown rocker. It just feels like it's a little more intricate. Was that kind of the growth that the band saw, or am I just making something up?
No, I think I agree with you. It's when we started, when we actually recorded Capture the Magic, we were not even really a band so much as a project. I mean, it was a vision at that point, but most of that album was composed by 3 people, myself and our guitar player at the time and our singer Matt. And we wrote the songs that we wanted to hear, but we still hadn't even played a show yet. We were just really kind of creating the songs that we wanted to play and laying the blueprint for it. And then after the fact, we went out and started playing shows, and then we just kept playing and went everywhere and anywhere. So you're talking about the 2 years in between. We had a lot of experience of being on the road, interacting with crowds, seeing what kind of worked in a live environment and what didn't, and just that kind of growth went from being more of a project band to actually just becoming songwriters and knowing what kind of works in a live situation as well. So I think a lot of the songs on the new album were written with that in mind. How is this going to come across on stage at full volume, in front of a festival crowd or something like that. And then, of course, a couple of the songs were written with no intention to ever play live, and those were the ones that we really went overboard on with with the production and things like that, and just had fun with. But for the most part, it's more of a stripped down, straight ahead, in your face kind of heavy metal record.
Right. Well, with both records, the one thing that fans of classic metal, even if they don't know who you are, they'll certainly recognize quite a few names on your records. I mean, you've worked with everybody from Joe Lynn Turner to George Lynch, and that says something all by itself for a new young band. How did you guys end up with those guys on your records?
Well, the part of that was due to the connections that I made when I was living in Los Angeles. We're based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania now, but a few years ago I was out in LA, and I was working for some record companies out there and just trying to really, get a behind the scenes education on the music business and build up my Rolodex and just sort of doing that whole industry schmooze thing and making friends and having a big party. And along the way I got to work with some great people and some people I really respected. One of them was George. I actually served as an A&R guy and an art director for a Lynch Mob record a couple years ago when they put out the Revolution album. And I was very fortunate that I got to be behind the scenes with George in the making of that album and the video, and seeing that whole project come together. And we just stayed in touch. And he said, if you I told him at that time that I had plans to create my own band that was sort of in that Doc and Dio Priest kind of vibe. And he's like, well, if you ever get it together, let me know. So when it happened, I took him up on it and gave him a call, and he played a guitar solo on our version of Ozzy's SATO, and that definitely helped open some doors for us because it ended up on his album too, one of his anthology record. So a lot of people probably got to know us because of that. It's just another tool to help gain some exposure for us. The label really liked that, obviously, sort of the same thing the hip hop community's been doing for years. You know,
right.
Bringing in guest appearances and guest stars and things to help out. But for us, it was pretty organic. It was just, hey, you know, I happen to be friends with one of the best guitar players in the world. I'm going to give this guy a chance to play on my album, and he's going to do it. Hell yeah, you know. So
yeah, no kidding.
That worked out really good, and the label saw a lot of good cross promotion opportunities in that. And when it came time for the new album, they were like, okay, well, who's your guest star going to be this time?
Okay.
So it's like, wow, how do we top, you know, Mr. Scary? And we didn't want to do a guitar player again. We had already done George, and Frank Oresti from Fate's Warning was, you know, played on there, and another childhood hero of ours. And we did actually Michael Romeo from Symphony X played on an Alice Cooper song we did. So we kind of wanted to try something different. And I said, well, let's get a guest singer this time, and you know, see we can work that out. And one of the bands that we all really, you know, idolized was Rainbow, Yngwie, Deep Purple, and you know, Joe Lynn Turner's key vocalist in all three of those bands. So we were fortunate that the manager that we had just signed with was friends with Joe, and also he had done some work with our record label, so we had that connection. And said, hey, let's call Joe and see if he'll do it. And he wanted to hear some of our material, and when he did, he really liked where we were coming from. And I talked to him about it, you know, our direction and our vision, and kind of explained how we were trying to, you know, carry the torch for the style that he really helped popularize, and you know, a genre that wasn't really getting enough recognition in this country, in our opinion. And
right.
I think he felt that we were real sincere about it, and that we were coming from a good place, and he agreed to do it. And the result was him doing a sort of a duet with our singer on the Def Leppard cover Mirror Mirror from Songs for the Lost. So
right.
Again, just another great life experience, and a good thing for our band, and hopefully a good thing for fans of Joe and Def Leppard, for that matter.
Right. Well, the interesting thing too, Jason, is that while you've worked with several different guys that are well known in the industry, you guys are not, I mean, you're not selling Icarus Witch as, hey, we're the band that plays with all these guys. I mean, the strongest tunes on both records are not the songs that featured those guys. I mean, you guys' original work, several of the tunes, especially on the new one, you know, Nature of the Beast and Devil's Hour and stuff like that, are probably the strongest things that you guys have done, but they're not the ones that feature these guys, man. Do you find that maybe people sometimes get, you know, led in the wrong direction when they see those names on your various records?
I don't know. I mean, we don't want to be too exploitative about it. Is that a word? You know, we don't want to be the kind of band that's just just a one trick pony, or just pushing, you know, that one kind of element. So I like to think of it as it's just sort of bonus material or ear candy, or you know. It's not any kind of intentional bait and switch or anything like that. It's I think we tried to really create more diversity on this album. A lot of the comments we got on the first album was that there was a lot of sameness to the songs and tempo. And when we went in for Songs for the Lost, we sort of made a conscious effort to create, you know, songs that were faster, songs that were, you know, more ballads. You know, we actually have our first sort of acoustic song on there, some more long epics. Try to mix it up a little bit. So, you know, it just so happened that the one that fit with Joe Lynn Turner's style the most was the Def Leppard song. It was just perfect for his range and his style. So, you know, we couldn't really picture Joe singing on Out for Blood as much. So, you know, that's sort of how that came about. Just, I don't know. Did that answer your question?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man.
Create more questions.
No, all good, man. Well, as we said, the name of the new album is Songs for the Lost. The name of the band is Icarus Witch. And, Jason, where can people look online and in stores or wherever to pick this record up?
Well, we are in most of the common places, you know, Best Buy, FYE, Borders, Amazon, things like that. You know, you can get it directly from the band if you want to go to IcarusWitch.com, or you can contact us through, MySpace.com/IcarusWitch. Just, you know, we'd like to stay in touch with people, and I think we've gotten pretty good distribution on this album. I've been able to walk into quite a few, shopping malls and chains and see it in the shelves. So that's a good sign that it's getting out there, and the sales numbers are coming back in. And even though the industry as a whole is down, we're still selling, in the chains and the mom and pops. So there are some people out there that are still keeping the faith with us.
Well, Jason, you know the tradition, man. As a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track to end the interview. So what song should we end this with, and give us a little story about it?
Well, let's see. You mentioned Out for Blood.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's a pretty good one to go out with a bang on. That song was put together as sort of our call to arms. Again, once we started playing live, we wanted a song that we could come out and blast for the audience and get the fists in the air. So it's got that sort of European, shout at the devil kind of chorus, and just a real straight ahead, old school Priest kind of guitar riff, and just gets your blood pumping without being too overbearing, still keeping the melody, and just sort of a statement of purpose. The band is hungry. We're on the rise, and we're out for blood tonight.
Excellent. Well, let's check it out. This is Icarus Witch with Out for Blood right here on your Classic Metal Show.
Thanks for checking out the Best of the Classic Metal Show. You can tune into the Classic Metal Show live every Saturday night from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern, exclusively at www.theclassicmetalshow.com.